Well, Drug Court is an initiative that started in 1989, and it was designed to have an opportunity for those substance abusing offenders to have the opportunity for treatment. Normally, they would just be sitting in jail, going back and forth, getting out of jail, breaking the law, coming back. They have an established pattern. And so Drug Court was an initiative to help those offenders receive the treatment in an outpatient setting. The process, it usually begins with a referral that's either made by the drug court, a judge, or the public defender. And once they cite a particular person for placement in a program, we would go out and conduct what we call a LSI assessment. And at that point of doing an assessment, we decide whether or not that person is appropriate for the placement in the program. And then after we do the assessment and accept them in, they come into the program and we work with them from there. Well, you know, it's difficult to know when someone is ready because a lot of people think they are ready when they're sitting in jail and all you can see is a little window that you're looking out, and you make all these decisions about, I want to get my life together. And so initially, I think they want to get their life together, but once they come outside of the jail, then they may get triggered by different things in the environment. So I believe their heart is probably in the right place, but the addiction is very powerful. And there's some statements out there that call it your brain being on fire. And even though you may be incarcerated for a while, it's like the fire is smoldering. And once you're released from a jail, anything could trigger it. And I think that their intentions are good until they're faced with the environment. Well, some of the programs, I know that, you know, you have the NAAA, people can attend some meetings to get into the program. Sometimes people can go through the church or civic organization, but for the most part, a person coming into a program, it's got to be something that they want to do and not something that they're doing because of a family member or because of some employer isn't, you know, trying to encourage them to do that. So it has to be something that's coming from them or they won't be successful in it. Well, our program, one of the things that we know that research says is that a cognitive behavior treatment is what works best with this population. And so what we use is a curriculum that's called Thinking for a Change. And it has three components. One is a social skill component, the other is a cognitive self-change component, and the other one is problem solving. And those components are integrated throughout the program. It's about 22 lessons. And so right now we have a graduating class after about 11 months. So it's a very intense program in which they have to prove that they are really understanding the skills and able to apply them in real life situations. The program has 5 stages, what we call 5 phases. And initially when they come into the program, it lasts about 3 months. And phase 1 is 3 months, phase 2, 3 months, phase 3, 3 months. And then it increases on the end. So you would need to complete each stage, and each stage has its own theme. And then they can complete the program at that point. So it's a very rigorous program, and you have to really want to be in treatment. You have to really want to change your attitudes and beliefs, because that's the core of what's going on. They won't be able to change their behavior unless they change their attitudes and beliefs. And that's why when you see people going back and forth to jail, they keep saying, well, I'm trying to get my behavior right, but the thinking hasn't changed. So it takes a lot of work, because those attitudes and beliefs, they develop very early in life. And unless somebody is skilled working with you, they may go unnoticed because they're so automatic. All right, the workforce team that we use is next door. And so it's easy, we just refer them to the program next door, and they support them with employment. In some places, we have participants that actually need clothing for the job, and they will send them to the different locations to get clothing for the job. Someone may need an assessment to see whether or not they can do certain types of work, and so they have been very helpful with stipends for martyr cards. So they've just done so many different things, but we use an agency next door. Well, it's a little different because my history was with the juvenile court years ago. And so this opportunity to work with a judge side by side is a whole lot different. And so you get an opportunity to see their personality, you get an opportunity to see their compassion for the population that we work with. And I don't think that all judges are cut out to do drug court. And so I enjoy working closely with Judge Castellani. You know, it's interesting in the group room, it's so much pain in the room, and everybody has a story to tell. I think probably one of the stories that may stand out the most for me, because all of them could be a headliner in themselves, but I think stories about women losing their children to defects and having to come to grips with the fact that their addiction took them out, and helping them to understand what actually happened to the brain, and that a lot of things that were going on with them they were powerless. And so I think it's sad when mothers come to grip with the fact that they've lost their children, and some of them actually lost their kids forever. And so it's a lot of sadness there. I think the one thing that I would change is more resources. I think that we have people that really need to be in the program, and we need additional resources in terms of space, in terms of funding, so we could approve for additional recovery houses for us, because when we don't have the housing, then they have to stay in jail until we locate a resource for them. So I would say I would change the funding source and increase it. When you look at how much it costs to actually incarcerate a prisoner, we're talking about $55,000 a year per inmate. And when you think about the cost for drug court, we're talking about $2,000 or $3,000. So it's really a drop in the bucket. And plus, the beautiful thing, they are actually receiving services in the community. So if they are having problems, they can come back to the group or in individual sessions and let us know what they are experiencing, and then we can develop a relapse prevention plan around those triggers in the community. So I think it's the best place, because when you're in jail or you're incarcerated, you're really working in an artificial environment. And so actually having them in the community, you get to see the real life things that they face day to day, and we can do more implementation at that point. I think that our biggest relapse prevention tool is the thinking report that comes out of the curriculum, in which you train them to briefly describe the facts about the situation. They identify the thoughts that they're having in the moment, their feelings, then their attitude and belief. Then they come back and identify the high-risk thoughts and the high-risk feelings. Then you replace those thoughts, and at that point it allows them to really relax and think about what they want to do. And then adjacent to that, we have what is called a mobile thinking report, in which they do it real quickly, but it's able to help them to make some better decisions in the moment. What I would say to them is that there are people out there that are skilled and competent to help them, and they need to trust the process. They just need to trust the process, and don't be aware of the self-talk, the things that they are saying that may keep them from moving forward, but just trust the process and move forward and get the help that they need, because it will do so much for their families, it will do so much for them, and it will create some successes in their life, because drug abuse just creates a pattern of failures, and it takes a lot to overcome that. So I would just say, take those risks. I've been in every field. I thought that I was going to be a funeral director, but I ended up majoring in psychology and working with the juvenile offenders. But I think that after I got my master's degree and did my internship at a transitional center, my passion for working with women increased. And then I just started trying on other careers, and I ended up at drug court doing training for them, and I just love being there. I love waking up in the morning, coming to drug court. I don't wake up thinking about, oh my God, I have to go to my job. I wake up saying this is another opportunity that God has given me to help somebody. I'm just grateful that I'm being used as an instrument to help people pull their lives together.